2.5 hours left. So GPS says I'll get there 2:55. Hoping I can get this thing unhooked and checked in quickly. Usually they're really quick. There's a young girl that's helped me a couple times, and she's really good. She comes out, like I don't have to go in and get anybody. So hopefully that's the case this time, because lately what I've been doing is just going, like getting all my paperwork done as far as like my drop-off sheet, and then unhooking it and then going and getting them. That way it's ready to go. So hopefully that'll be the case. I've only had there's only one dealership that has told me not to unhook it, and they do like a full inspection. I don't go there very often. It's kind of by Madison, but it's not. I can't remember what the town is, but it's not the Madison location. But they take forever, so they've really been the only ones that, you know, you get stuck there for a half hour or longer. But it's a long drive for me anyways. This uses up my entire clock for driving for the whole round trip. But for the most part, it's been pretty smooth. I did end up adjusting my hitch before I left. If it would have been a shorter run, I might have let it nosedive a little bit, but this is a longer run, and I don't know, I wanted to tow nice. So I did a quick adjustment before I left and raised the hitch up, and things sitting level now. So did that. The only real delays I had were like early on in the trip. I didn't leave as early as I wanted to. My dogs were sick. I don't know what they got into, but they were both puking and stuff, and I spent some time with them this morning just making sure they're good. And then so I left about an hour later than I initially wanted to, and I knew I needed to get fuel because I left with just about a quarter of a tank, which I knew I could get to Elkhart, which is where I was picking up at. But I hate filling up in Elkhart. So there's a couple stations along the way that I can use my Open Roads app card. So I stopped at the one that's right when you get on 20 off of, I think it's like 294 still over there, but for some reason the whole gas station was closed down. They had a caution taped off. So I didn't realize that until I got to the parking lot. So then I had to get back on 20. And then there's two gas stations on 20 at one of the big corners there. I've only stopped at the one once, and the one across the street, which is easier to get at if you're going back towards Chicago. That one I can use my Open Roads app. So I went and did the whole like go to the light, turn left, then go in, and there's no card reader at the pump unless at least for like a regular card or Open Roads. It's for I can't remember, the Comdata. So I would have had to go in, and the station was like packed. So I really didn't want to waste all that time. So I just went and left again. I made it into Elkhart, and I stopped at, I think it's like a Love's that's right there. Not Love's. There is a Love's in Elkhart that I can use my card at, but it's not the exit that I get off at. So I can't remember if it's like a Casey's or something. I don't know. I stopped there, filled up. Pump was slow, but got it filled up. It was really busy there, and then I went and hooked up my trailer. But so I lost some time by the time I ended up, like I said, stopping for 3 gas stations and finally filling up and letting it take forever to fill up because it wasn't a truck stop pump with the fast flow. And I prefer to fill up at the truck stops just because you know, the fuel is usually pretty fresh because the trucks go through so much of it. But that gas station, I think it's Casey's right there in Elkhart. A lot of the guys are filling up there, so they're probably going through a good number of diesel as well. Other than that, since I left, I hit a little bit of traffic coming into Chicago. They're doing some construction, and there's an accident. But other than that, I've been cruising pretty good with, you know, I just got into Wisconsin, and that weigh station there was closed, which is nice. Because like if you haven't done this before or you don't pay attention, you wouldn't think that just going through a weigh station, like if you're not getting pulled in or anything, you wouldn't think it would cause you much time. But typically just getting off, waiting in line to go through the wait, either to get bypassed or get weighed, usually I lose like 5 minutes. So, you know, for me, every minute to me counts. Especially when I'm kind of against the clock, like I am today, where I know this run is going to take all 11 driving hours that I have. You know, there's very little room for delays, so try to be efficient. I'm going to make it up there without having to stop for fuel. I did fill up, like I said, in Elkhart. I'm going to have to see if I'm going to make it home. I know that likely my truck is going to say, no, you're not going to make it home, based off the calculation to empty. But once I unhook the trailer, I'll be getting better mile per gallon. So I probably could make it home. What I may do is I'll probably just get back in the truck. If I know for a fact I'm not going to make it home, I'm just going to stop right there in La Crosse so I don't waste any more time than I need to. But if I think I can make it home, but I'm kind of on edge, then I might jump in the truck and do the 3 hours, head towards like Janesville. And right before I get into Illinois, I can stop and top off for cheaper fuel there. And, you know, it'll take a little bit of time because I got to get off the highway, go to the truck stop. It's probably going to be busy. But, like I said, it'll be kind of a game time decision to see whether or not I can make it on the tank. The other thing I wanted to bring up in the video, I have not purchased the truck yet, and I have had a lot of people inquire about driving the truck that I purchased, and I'm definitely open to that. As of right now, my preference would be that if I were to put a driver in a truck that I purchase, I would want them to be semi-local to me. And part of the reason for that is obviously like the deadhead miles. You know, if you live in like, I don't remember where everybody said they live, so if I'm not kind of targeting any one person that has reached out to me, but let's say you live in like Kentucky or Florida or something like that, and you know, you obviously eventually want to make it home, whether it's once a week or once every 2 weeks or whatever the case might be. You know, that's gets a little bit hard to manage, like that if that truck's going to be going home with you and those deadhead miles. You know, obviously I don't want to cover the fuel for that, but also like if it's a lot of deadhead miles and then you have to do it back to Indiana, that's putting a lot of mileage on the truck, you know, over the course of a year or whatever. And then also my what I would like to do is kind of like what I do with this truck, is to do a lot of the maintenance myself, anything I can do just to save on cost. So, you know, like the days that the truck might not be running, if it's got to have an oil change or fuel filters or air filter or whatever, like that's all stuff that I would, at least in the beginning, like to do just to save on costs. Because, you know I could do an oil change for probably under $100 myself, whereas the dealer might be charging $175 to $200, and then, you know, fuel filters that I can do for $100, the dealership's probably charging $250. And that would, you know, if we were to do it for like 6 months and I could see that there's plenty of profit, you know, then I probably would start paying to have it maintained a little bit more. But because I don't know, really how the profits are going to work out. It's just in the beginning, I would like to do a lot of the old maintenance. So there is a few guys that are local to me that have reached out. We haven't, spoken in depth about driving, but I know there's some people interested that are local. I do have a couple friends of mine that are interested, so that to me would be an ideal situation because they live within an hour of me and known them for a long time and stuff like that. So and also, like, one of the options I had is to have multiple drivers on one truck, so I could have 2 part-time drivers on that one truck, and the 2 guys that are interested live like 10 minutes from each other. So a situation like that would be ideal because they could bounce the truck back and forth as necessary and just keep running loads. So I'll continue to update as that develops, and I always answer the emails, so it might take me a day or two, especially right now. I'm really busy with like my company as well as trying to get the RV transport in, and I've had a lot of emails coming in, so I try to, as the channel grows, it definitely, the emails have been more, which I love. I like answering questions, but it just, sometimes it might take me a few days to get to those. So, but like I said, I haven't purchased a truck. I had one that I was eyeing up, and I don't know that we're going to make a deal on it. It's at a dealership. I gave them my offer, and they're definitely interested, but they want me to come in to talk price, and I basically, my stance was I already gave you what I was willing to pay for that truck based off of the mileage and condition and stuff like that. And I don't, not to be rude, but I don't want to waste my time sitting at a dealership if I don't have to. So, especially because it's like an hour from my house. So for me to drive an hour to look at this truck and sit down and, I already inspected it in person when I was out in that area. It was just on a Sunday when they were closed. So I didn't drive it, but I looked everything over. I understand the truck, and I've had, it's a 2015 F350. I've had that exact truck pretty much. So I know what I would be getting into with it as far as maintenance and stuff like that. So yeah, to me, just for me to drive an hour, spend a couple hours probably minimum at the dealership, and then drive back potentially without the truck, I don't want to waste a half a day on that. I'm sure something will pop up really close to my house. I've got a lot of dealers, or if I have to go somewhere else once I get the driver set up, that's not a problem for me. I'm not going to rush it, but we are pretty busy, so I would like to get another truck running just to bring in some extra income for myself, for a driver, and for the business. Yeah, that's kind of, when that time does come, if there is somebody that someone that's going to end up driving the truck, then the process is going to be like, you'll have to apply to the company that I'm leased on with. Even though you'll be working using my truck, you will be in contact with like the dispatchers and stuff. It'll be like you're a contractor, 1099 contractor for the company I'm leased onto, just like I am. It's just that the pay will work out a little bit differently, and I already kind of worked that out with the owner of the company, so he knows what my plan is. For guys that have their own 3/4 ton or larger diesel pickup that have been emailing me, basically what I'm doing is I'm just sending you the information for the owner of the company, the dispatcher, and from there you're just gonna have to reach out to him. You can let him know that you talked to me. If you want to use me as a referral, I'm fine with that. And I'll answer any questions that you might have. But as far as that goes, I'm just pretty much passing that information along and letting you get in touch with the dispatcher. I do know that we are getting busier. We are looking for drivers. So, if, like I said, if you have a 3/4 ton or larger, not jump on a little bit later and do like a video at the end. But if not, Jayco's pulling nice, getting about 11 miles a gallon. So not really any wind, and should be up there and hopefully home at a halfway decent time. Got that trailer dropped off up in La Crosse, Wisconsin, and just headed back to home. Should be getting home around like 7-ish. Made for like a total of like 12.5-hour day with breaks and stuff, but took a little bit longer to get inspected than normal. The one girl that I dealt with the last couple times wasn't there, and so there was a guy that came out and he did a little bit more of a thorough inspection, which, like I said, made for a little bit longer. I was trying to hustle and get out of there because I know I was cutting it short on, or close on time, but I'm going to be okay with drive time. I think actually, I think it still shows I have like almost an hour or so, because I took a break earlier, then took a break later, so, but I did just want to get home, I guess, as well, at a good time. Whenever we do this La Crosse run, it's like, it's a pretty decent run, as far as like timing. It's the longest one that I've done, and I've done it, I don't know how many times, maybe like 6 times. It's short, you know, compared to what other RV transporters do, you know, because it's only, I think, like under 400 miles, but not including Deadhead. But, you know, so it's not, in comparison to a run south to Florida or Colorado or something like that, it's a lot shorter, obviously, but for me, it's a long one. But it's still good because this one, the GVRW, is under 10,000, so I think this paid $830. If it would have been like over 10,000 GVRW, it would have paid a little bit more, or if it would have been like a park mile or something, it would have paid, you know, more. I think 25 cents a gallon, or 25 cents a mile more. But because it was a smaller trailer, it was like 30 feet, you know, less than 10,000 pounds, so it paid the standard $2 a mile, which is still good. As far as fuel goes, I was getting about 11 miles a gallon. I did end up topping off, or I didn't even let it fill up. I stopped at the Quick Trip or whatever it is that's right in La Crosse there before you get on the highway, and the pump was like super slow. I didn't want to wait, and I had to pee real bad, so I ran inside. But so I just stopped it at like 65% fuel, and it wasn't, I couldn't use my fuel card there anyway, so I wasn't saving, you know, a ton of money. I think it was like $3.30 a gallon or something. So it wasn't like a benefit for me to fill up there. I was spending more money. I didn't want to have to exit the highway again after I got on. So I just decided to top up, or put some fuel in right there, and I could run inside and use the bathroom before I left, grab a drink. So I have one more load that I don't know how I'm gonna get it done or when I'm gonna get it done, but I did request another load for the weekend. And Sunday's obviously Mother's Day, so I was trying to not do that, but Saturday my wife wants to go look at a car, and my daughter has a lacrosse game, so I'm thinking my only opportunity is potentially going and picking it up like Saturday evening, bringing it home, because I think it is a smaller one, and then I could deliver it up to Madison sometime on Sunday, even if it's like Sunday evening. But that's kind of tentatively what I'm thinking about doing. because I only ran 2 loads so far this week. Luckily, they were longer loads, with this La Crosse, and then I had a Green Bay one. And I think the Green Bay one, because it was a 5th wheel and a GVWR, was higher than 10,000. That one I think paid like close, I don't know, somewhere around like $775 or something like that. And then this one today paid like $830, I think. So about $1,600 between the two. And then Madison, as long as I squeeze that in this weekend, it looks like it's a smaller trailer. I looked it up. It's only going to pay like $560, but that that'll put me over the 2,000 gross for it'll put me over 2,000 gross for the week. Only 3 loads, so that'll be fine. And if it's the trailer that I was looking up, which it's a Coachman, and I was trying to look it up. Looks like it's really small. I should get good fuel mileage with it, and shouldn't take me a long time to get it up there, so that'll be good. And then I'm not sure what my plan for the next week is going to be. I do have a camping trip coming up. We're going to do Lake of the Ozarks, I think the 3rd weekend of May, so maybe like 2 weeks from now. So it's going to be a long weekend, maybe like 4 days, something like that. So I'm gonna have to figure out what I'm gonna do there, like that week. But I want to try to get some more loads, and I know we still got some stuff to move, and then before you know it, it'll be the end of the month again. So I did see some other. I saw a post or something on Facebook about like maybe some of the other companies are slowing down. I don't see that right now with us. It may just be the extra work that we took on this year already, and not having like a ton more drivers. But it seems like we're fine as far as workload goes, and as far as I know, we're still looking for more drivers. But that's it for this video. I'm gonna keep trucking home. I got about 2.5 more hours, I think, maybe a little over that, and then I should be home.